about that.
Yeah.
Good to have you, man. Good to have you, man. How you feeling?
It's my pleasure, man. I'm feeling great, man. Another beautiful day, alive, feeling good.
Yeah, ready for winter to be over, I'm sure.
You know what I mean? Florida's winter.
Even that, it was. I know it's been chilly, but I want to give you a proper intro, man. It's been fun doing. I like to get into these. I get to do some research. I spoke with Ibrahim last week, and he said I was Web3 Nardwar, and I was like, oh man, hopefully that's not too invasive. But
Of course.
man, so for everybody that doesn't know, Wu Man T here. He's a musician, both on the hip hop side and the R&B side, multifaceted. Watch out, because he will drop the freestyles on you. We'll get into that in a minute.
You know what I mean?
You're an author. I
Yes,
haven't
sir.
actually been able to dive into the work, but I know you're an author.
Yes, sir.
And where you might recognize him, where a lot of you might recognize him from, along with your brother,
Yes,
um, was one of the muses for Justin Aversano's Twin Flame series. And
that's
so
correct.
couldn't be happier to have you on, man. You ready for the new year?
Of course, man. Of course, and it's my pleasure to be on with you, man. I appreciate the time for sure.
Oh yeah, it's all about you, but we're gonna dive right in. So here we go. Here we go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If
Yes,
it ever
sir.
gets too crazy, just hit the panic button. I'll shut up.
Never, never.
So first, and the most obvious thing for me to ask you, and I couldn't find it anywhere, where does the name Moon Man T come from?
Well, when I was in high school, one of my friends, I was heavy into like the History Channel, and anytime the teacher would like ask me questions, I would always know like in history. He would call me Young TV, like yo Young TV. I'm like I'm digging it. I'm gonna take that. That became my stage name at first. So most of my friends even now they call me T Dot or TV. They know me as TV. But there was a song, I think it was like 2011, that my entire group was on, and I came in. I was like, "It's Moon Man T," and I'm fresh off the spaceship, and I was like, "Yeah, that's my name from now on." But once I got into my spirituality, I realized that the moon had its own spiritual significance, and it was kind of like fate in my life, I guess.
Nice. I mean, when things come about serendipitously, I feel like that's kind of the best way to roll with things. Like, you can't plan for it. It happens. It's one of those, preparation opportunity type things. So,
Of course, of course.
um, from what I was telling here, or what I was reading, you started making music in '09. Now, was this something that you always wanted to do, or did it start out as like a hobby, and then like as you got into it, you're like, shit, this is it?
I think like when I was like uh, maybe middle school, elementary, like I always wanted to do music. I didn't have. I suffered from like a lack of confidence, I guess. My twin brother was like he was always the confident one, especially when it came to music. But on a DNA level, I come from a music background. My father was in a group called the Force MCs, now the Force MDs, and they are R&B legends, hip hop legends as well. They battled Cold Crush, and they were the first rap group to come out of Staten Island. They were like spiritually the birth of Wu Tang Clan, so to speak. So it was in my DNA.
Bro, I didn't. And so speaking on that, and like I said, I did a deep dive. I would encourage everyone to go and check out Mooman T's Instagram, because there's a piece where Method Man talks all about that, and like, getting up on the rhyme so he could fit in with his peers at the time and all that.
Right.
So I thought that was really cool, to be, even in the smallest way, any kind of inspiration for Method Man is obviously a big
Yeah,
deal.
it's huge, man. It's like the lineage. And I didn't really know much about it until I was about maybe 20, 21. My father passed away when I was really young. I was like 11 years old. So I really didn't understand, what he was doing for reality and what he's done in his own musical world and how many people he's touched. And, it goes from people that we put on this huge, huge pedestal and they put him on the pedestal. So I'm like, wow, like my father was really in tune with the birth of hip hop, and that really obviously is in my DNA because I had no idea, and then I started to do it myself. And he was actually the first 5%er of the 5% Nation to be a rapper. So and then later on in my life, I started to realize that I was one with the Creator, and I began to call myself God. And I'm like, damn, my dad was like into that, and I had no idea. So it just showed me that DNA is transferable, and it really has this information component to it that spreads to other humans.
Dude, 100%. So, I can speak to that a little bit as a father myself. So, it's crazy what I see in my little one, and how that passes on. Like, there is a nurture factor to it all, but there's a lot of it that's inherited. So, um,
Indeed.
and that's really cool. And of course, I can only imagine what that's like losing a parent at such a young age. But how cool is that you get to experience how he touched others through his art and through his work and things like that. That's
100%.
that's that's pretty great. So that's really cool. I didn't know that part. Um, Now, when it comes to the music that you make, because I do want to talk about that a little bit specifically.
Of course.
Um, I was diving in. I kind of, well, first of all, do you produce your own music?
No, I have a bunch of producers that I have a couple in-house producers. Early on in my career, it was more like the just sourcing it from like BeatStar and stuff like that. But I found my own sound, and I only like follow those that kind of like go with that, I guess you could say.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, there was one that you had on there. I think it was Soul Talk.
Soul
Um,
Talk, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
really liked that. It almost sounded like I couldn't tell if it was sampled or if it was just in reverse in some certain spots, but I
I
really liked
think
the
it,
sound of that one.
I think it was sampled. I haven't really dived deep with the producer and what he did with it. I just loved the sound when I heard it. I'm like, nah, this is something different. This is something that I really want to. And like artists know, like when you hear that, like, all right, this one's for this. Like, cause I have many facets of me. Like, I have like the ratchet side, I guess you could say. But for the most part, I like to keep it soul. But I know what I'm gonna do on each one to display my multidimensionality.
That's great. That's great. Well, and so that leads me directly into what I was building up to is, do you have a preference for singing or rapping, or does it just kind of like however the mood strikes you at the time?
I think like sometimes it's like when I hear the beat, right? Like if I start singing, then I'm like, all right, this is going to be a singing song. But then sometimes I'll double back and be like, but how does rapping sound like when it's like
Yeah.
how would it sound? And I do engineer and mix and master my own stuff, so I can just play around with it, like put the beat in, load it up, start playing around, see if it sounds right. But I do tend to lean more towards the R&B side because there's a healing aspect of R&B that goes into like the energy of it. It's just something about it that it gives me a feeling of places that I've never been and longings for that I've never felt. You know what I mean? So R&B is something that I always like to tap into. Before I rap. But then when I rap, I kind of get that same feeling, but it's never as deep as the R&B.
And I heard some different things when I was going through, and so I want to touch on some points. So yeah, I think "It's About Time" was
Yeah.
one that you made that had like I believe it was at the beginning of each hook, had like Prince-ish undertones
Mm,
to me,
mm,
and so I'm
mm.
curious about some of the influences and like people that you look to, like if there was a not, if you tried to develop your style after anybody in
Hmm.
particular,
Hmm.
obviously that's cool, but
Right.
who were like the major influences from the R&B side? We'll get into hip hop in a second.
I would definitely say like, well, let me just preface it this way. I thought that every artist that I heard wrote their own music, right? So every artist that I heard, I always put myself in that like, hey, look, like these people are writing their music. You have to write. You know what I mean? You have to be a writer. So I was heavily into like obviously Michael Jackson. Prince was later on in my life. I really wasn't too into Prince too much. R. Kelly was a huge musical influence. Just listening to the R&B, the writing aspect of things, and the fact that he's written for multiple different artists, despite the controversy, the music aspect is something that I hold near to me because it gave me the inspiration to want to be a writer. You know what I mean? Like. And then once I got older and the smoke and mirrors cleared, and I realized that a lot of these artists are what we would call plants, and they're just a face and a voice to somebody else's soul, so to speak, in what they're writing. It made me feel even more empowered because I kind of find it's like blasphemy to me for somebody to not write their own stuff. So when I hear it, I'm like, I hope you wrote that, because if you wrote that, like you're amazing. But if you didn't write that, then I'm like, I kind of look at it a little more weird. But I guess it's more acceptable for R&B. But I would definitely say R. Kelly, Michael Jackson. Um, a little later in my life, Drake was a huge influence on me, like maybe like '08 era when he first came out. That was something that he made me like, all right, like let's go, like let's start writing for real. '09, I started writing. I'm like, let's just do it. But those three, I would say, was definitely huge influences on the R&B side of things.
Nice, nice. And then you did hop in on one of the videos where you were over the Drake beat, the Drake and 21 beat, on the freestyle.
Yes,
I
sir.
personally, so no shade on that one. I really like the J. Cole one that you had though, and I know that was a little bit older, but big J. Cole fan.
Yeah, he's that guy.
Monster, absolute
Yeah.
monster. When we get into hip hop, there were a couple references that you have. So one of your tracks is called "The New RZA,"
Yes, sir.
and it's like you almost know that like RZA is probably my favorite member of Wu Tang.
Wow. Wow.
I always nobody ever gets the reference, but I always say Bob Digi, yeah, you know who is he? And
Yeah.
if you know, you know, right?
If you know,
Like,
you know, baby.
but then you had another reference in I can't remember which video I saw this in, where you referenced someone said, "Call you my honey dip," and I was like, "Oh, that's Dipset right there." Like, and being from New York, like I would expect that, but um, you talked about the Staten Island influence.
Yes,
Obviously,
sir.
that's Wu Tang heavy.
Of course.
Um, so that's got to be an influence. I assume Dipset's in there, but like talk about your hip hop influence a little bit too.
My hint, man, there's definitely a lot. But it really, to be honest, Dipset wasn't one of my
No,
influences. I was on the opposite end. I was G-Unit, right? So it was like
mm.
when you're in middle school, you were either Dipset or G-Unit. Like you could, there was no in between. It was like war in
That's so
middle school.
funny.
Like
Yeah,
yo, I'm Dipset. I'm like, yo, I'm G-Unit, man. Like 50, Lloyd, like that. Those are my guys. On a hip hop level. Definitely, to be honest with you, Wu Tang was a little later in my life. I didn't really tap into Wu Tang until I was in my 20s. I'm 32 now, so again, that wasn't really a part of my reality until I got older because I kind of like didn't really know too much about my father until the rest of the force reached out to me and my brother, just putting us on to what was going on in our reality. But definitely G Unit for sure. Um, J. Cole was huge before he popped. You know what I mean? Like there was like a group of artists that I knew were gonna be it. So it was J. Cole, it was Big Sean, it was Mac Miller, it was Wiz Khalifa. That group around that's Drake. That group around that time, they kind of had my heart. Like I was like, yo, like these dudes are gonna make it. It was even Charles Hamilton and Don Kennedy. Like they were Tiger. Like before they popped, that group, I was like, these dudes are gonna be it, and that's what I wanna be in this realm of pure hip hop before hip hop turned into like more mainstream dancey and auto tune and things like that.
that's cool. So we're pretty close in age, so I vibed with a lot of what you were saying there. It's interesting. I like a lot of the East Coast stuff, but I get all the way over to like the Dom Kennedys and all that, like
Yeah,
all the way on the West
sir.
Coast side. Um, he's got some hits out there. Um, One of the things though, so still speaking on New York a little bit, one of your posts you said you described as New York as a prison,
Right.
and you moved to Miami. So I want to know what you meant by that, if you're comfortable going into
Yeah,
that at
yeah,
all.
most definitely. Like I have a lot of just a lot of different beliefs when it comes to environment, just in general. And I felt like New York. A lot of the people that I know never leave New York. You know what I mean? And if they leave New York, they're going to Jersey, they're going to Connecticut. They're not leaving. They're not going far. They're going to Florida potentially, and then They're coming back. There's a mentality of bred New York where New York's the greatest city in the world. And although I do believe, and I'm not from New York City, I'm from New York State. I'm from Westchester, Peekskill, New York, specifically. Got to always say that Peekskill, New York. But New York, just in general, felt like a prison. And I guess it could be like that anywhere you're at because I believe that we're in a life itself. It's kind of like a green screen. You're going to see the same people if you go there the same
Mhm.
times. It's always going to be the same loop because we're all in a loop in our reality as human beings crossing paths. But when it came to New York, it was stronger. There was a stronger tie to staying. And most people say, I want to leave, but never leave. You know what I mean? And not only that, but just the when the pandemic hit, it showed me how draconian that New York could be politically and the lockdowns because a lot of people may not know, but the first case of COVID in the United States was in New Rochelle, New York. That's Westchester. So that it was the epicenter. It was the beginning of COVID. So it was like, damn, like this is it. So the lockdowns were very harsh, and although like with NFTs and crypto, I made the most money I've ever made in my life during that time.
Congrats.
A lot of people didn't. Thank you. A lot of people didn't understand this technology or understand that there's a way out. So politically, spiritually, I felt like New York was a prison and people didn't want to leave. People felt like there's nothing out there when there really is. Like I implore people to leave your nest. You know what I mean? Go out and see the world, see the United States first. Like see your country. Understand where you're at, what you're in. Understand the laws and that govern what you're under. And especially when it comes to New York, I felt like it was very harsh during the pandemic. But even before that, I felt like it was a prison. So I was like, look, I got to get out of here. I need some freedom. You know what I mean? Like I need where they treasure and cherish the Constitution of the United States.
My dude, I completely empathize with you. I grew up in Denver. I left roughly 20 years ago, and I couldn't have been happier to get out. Like it was just one of those things. Like some people don't understand it, but it was one of those things where like I was just ready to get out, just ready to go. It didn't really matter where I went. I ended up in Atlanta, but ready to get out of Denver for sure.
Yeah.
So I completely feel you on that one.
Right.
Now, to the flip side, right?
Yes, sir.
Miami now. Well, I see you all over Instagram. Suns out, guns out. Like, and by the way, I see you out there balling too. For those that don't know,
heavy.
Wu Man T's got bunnies. Watch out, he will dunk on you.
I'm a baller. Hell yeah.
But how has Miami freed you?
Miami's beautiful. I did realize once I came out here that there was a level of flash, right? So New York's flashy, but New York is more hippie, stylish, flashy, more chill. Definitely fast paced, but obviously that's New York. But Miami is more so. It's very flashy. You know what I mean? Everybody has money, and if you don't have money, you work for someone with money. So you're not coming out here. If you're coming out here with just a 9-to-5, and your 9-to-5 isn't paying you much, you're gonna struggle. You know what I mean? The cost of living is getting higher. But I love the energy of Miami. I love the sun. I love being in the beach. You know what I mean? Like I love to see the flash. You know what I mean? There's a part of me that's spiritually, there's the spiritual eye. When you see it, you're like materialistic, but at the same time, there's an inspiration factor to it. When you see the yachts, when you see the Bentleys, and we all love to have materials. We all love to, we all love to have that. It's an expression. So when I do see those things, I get inspired, and it's definitely a different lifestyle. It's fast, but slow at the same time. People are moving a lot slower, but it's fast paced in regards to those that have it, right? So I do go to different places. Like I've been to what is it called? I've been to just different restaurants like Sexy Fish, and I forgot the spot, but it escaped my mind, but it'll come back later. But a lot of, I guess, high-end places, and I see the difference between wealth, the mentality, and the difference in mentality between those who have wealth and those who don't, and what people who don't have wealth are willing to put their money in, and it's usually liability. So I learned a lot about where to put your money and what to do with the liquid that you do have.
Man, I love it. And so speaking on that, on where to place, funds and where to look at things. When you and I talked a week ago, you told me that you had gotten into DeFi, and obviously like that goes back into like New York and trading crypto and whatnot. What's, it's been a very mixed bag, especially like if anybody that started this year, right?
Of course.
It's been a rough year for anybody that started this year. However, there's a lot that you can do. I want you to speak to, what experiencing the upside has been like for you, because I think sometimes, and it's not all just like, oh, I traded well and now I can buy this. Like, obviously there's work that goes into that.
Of course. I feel like a lot of the time it was heavy research, because like me and my twin brother, like we would watch videos every single day. This is like 2016, and even back in 2012, 2013, Bitcoin had followed me. There was a Bitcoin account, Twitter, that followed me. And I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? I clicked on it and I'm like, okay, digital money. I kind of like poo-pooed it, like shoot it away. And this is like 2013. So it was like really early before the big boom. But I feel like at that time I was awakening. I was coming into myself as a creator. And I kind of didn't see that as a sign, but I did get a second chance through assets like XRP and others. But it was extensive research, and also like it is a bit of luck. It's not like you're gonna just come in here and just like I know what I'm doing and I'm just gonna make a lot of money. It's far from that. I feel like when you do follow things that have value, have utility, that are gonna change the world in a concrete way, those are going to be the ones that you're going to make money off of. That's what I made my money off of. Like the things that I knew were going to be concrete, and I pulled. Like, you know what I mean? Like I seen, okay, I made money. Let me pull. You know, let me not get greedy. Nothing goes up in a straight line, and we know that just for reality. Like whether it's NFTs, whether it's crypto, you know things are going to go down, and you can kind of there's signals, right? There's signals that's saying like, okay, this is the top. Like this is. It's time for you to take out. Let's be humble, and like I don't know everything. You know what I mean? Like I'm still learning, I'm still growing. Let me take profits and use the liquid for something else. You know, the upside is great. Like it's great to have the money, but you can lose a lot of money in this space. Don't get it twisted. A lot of people don't understand it. Come in like, oh, I seen you make a lot of money. I think I could do the same. You can, but are you a long-term player, or are you just somebody that's just trying to make a quick flip?
Yeah, no. I man, I couldn't agree more. It's one of those things where it's, especially when the NFT PFP was craze was going just like out of control.
Right.
You know, I always tell everybody I come from a traditional finance background. I'm unfortunately I'm just probably never going to be the guy that 100x's. I'm just not wired that way. You hit me with a 5x, a 10x. Those are monster gains. Like, you know, I tell everybody, like, there's nothing materially in my life that you couldn't give me 10x that I paid for it, and I wouldn't sell it to you.
Right, indeed.
Like, my house, bro, you give me 10x, it's yours.
Right. 10x, what? Thank you.
And so when you look at that, so, you know, unfortunately that means I miss out on things like Bored Apes going to, you know, quadrillion X, but whatever, you know, it happens.
Yeah, indeed.
So speaking back, you mentioned your brother, and one of the things I have to ask, who's the older one?
I'm 15 minutes older than him.
You're 15 minutes older.
Yeah.
So I'm curious with the picture.
Right.
You were behind him.
Yeah.
So
I kind of like.
Yeah, I was curious how that came to be.
Man, I feel like I'm his angel, right? So. You know what I mean? Like traditionally, like in our family, he's been the more responsible one, you know what I mean, on earth, right? With the earthly things. And he had his apartment before I ever got an apartment, a car before I ever got a car. He had his license before I had a license, like all the physical things he was doing. There was a point in time where I woke up, you know, like to my God self, as I would say it. And he gave me the foundation to write my books, you know what I mean, and not have to work and do those things. He knew what my path was, and he allowed me to be who I am today. And I feel like that allowed me to be his angel. You know what I mean? We didn't do that purposely, but everything has a purpose. So when I look, even when I look at the picture, like I have actual proof of the Twin Flames physical. So the ones that sold in Christie's and Sotheby's, each twin owns a proof, so they're going to be just as valuable because there's no more. I get a chance to look at this picture and I'm like, wow, like this is really powerful. And obviously, thank God for Justin. He definitely captured something that was amazing. But to answer your question, I felt like definitely like I'm his guardian angel. He's just looking out like, I'm good. He's right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, right. Man, and you know, That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You know, a brother's love. As I'm an older brother as myself, I've got a younger brother, not nearly as close as 15 minutes. My brother's almost 5 years younger than me, but
Wow.
I feel you.
Yeah, man.
Um, I'm very curious too because it looked like early on from your posts when you were first doing the shoot with
Hmm.
Justin Abrsano
Yes, sir.
that you knew it was going to be special. However, I don't think even Justin or anybody, like maybe outside of Gary Vee, like I don't know that anybody knew it was going to be just this special and blow up to this level. You know, Christie's, you
Yeah.
know, it is kind of the standard bearer for, you know, I feel like that and Drift are
Yeah.
the
Those two,
standards
they're
for
the
photography.
Godfathers. I think are the
Yeah,
Godfathers.
yeah, no,
Justin being like that man, like.
agreed. How did that feel as that transpired over time? Like it had to be kind of surreal, right?
Like I'm really, really, really in tune with reality, right? With life. So we all share this space. So this is all going to tie in. So you being where you are, the space between us is an illusion, right? There's something that lives there that makes us who we are. That's why we're able to feel each other. We're also able to feel circumstances and situations and what those may turn out to be, right? When I met I met Justin through my best friends. They're called the Trippy Twins, and they're in the Twin Flames project as well. I believe the number I forgot what number they are, but the Trippy Twins they have the DeLorean. They introduced me and my brother to Justin, and Justin said, "I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna do it with you guys as well." I felt it. The first day I met him, I'm like, I continued to drill it to him. And it's easy to say now that it's huge, but this was real for me. I said, yo, bro, like, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what your financial situation is. He explained it to me at the time. It was bleak. You know what I mean? I said, this is gonna be huge, bro. I've never experienced something like this in regards to the idea of photographing 100 sets of twins. I know what it feels like to be a twin because when you have a twin, it gets you to understand that human beings have a connection beyond what they're able to articulate, right, with words. So having a twin, I know that energy is powerful and it breaks down the walls of separation between human beings. So yes, I have that with my brother, but I have it with all humans as well. Through my brother, I learned that, right? So to be able to film 100 sets of twins and have that energy in a project, because all those twins know what it feels like to be a twin, and then that energy coming together. That day, I was like, "Yo, this is it, bro!" Like I felt so strongly that I had the first copy of my book, my second book. I signed it and I said, "Yo, bro, this is yours. This is my gift to you, right? I know what this is going to be." Then he had his showing in, I think it was Queens. I think it was at Super Chief, matter of fact. And when I tell you, I've like I dive deep within myself meditatively, and I feel the energy. But this was one of the most powerful energies I've ever felt on an outward level, like being out in the world. Multiple sets of twins in one spot, all the pictures lined up against the walls, some of the most spiritual energy I've ever felt. And I said, yo, this is it. This is 2018. This is before there's no in his world at least, right? And I'm like, this is it, bro. Like you are about to be a superstar. I don't know how that's gonna manifest. I don't know what it's gonna be. But you, my friend, are gonna be a superstar. And this is gonna blow you up. So I was just so happy to be a part of it, even at that time. And then he had wrote me and was like, "Yo, bro, like there's this thing called NFTs and blockchain and Web3, and I'm gonna mint this project, and I just want to see if you wanted to support." And I'm like, "Of course, like do your thing. We already signed our
Yeah.
rights over, so you're already good on that aspect. Do your thing with the project, see where it goes." And man, when I tell you it took off beyond, like still I think the highest grossing NFT photography project ever, if I'm not mistaken, still.
Yeah, it was
and
like 4.7 million or something like
you
that.
know what
Yeah.
I mean? And yeah, and you know, and
Hefty.
now it's crazy. And even like with Christie's and Sotheby's, and being like, I was in Christie's when he a couple like for 2 days before it went up on auction, and I'm just looking around. I'm like, I'm in Christie's, like I'm here. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
it's an awesome experience, man.
Well, and even more stemmed from that. So two also what I would consider very large events for you personally came from that. So I believe you met your partner, who's
My
also
girlfriend,
part of the set,
yes, she is.
and you now work for Quantum, right?
I am no longer working for Quantum. I was
Uh,
working for Quantum for about almost a year. So I was on
but that
board.
all came from the same
Yeah,
thing, right?
that all came from the same thing, and again, that was one of my greatest experiences as well, just in the Web3 space, because I ran the Twitter for so long. So I had it when it was like maybe 2K followers up until the 28K, 29K now, and all that was me. You know what I mean? Every day in and day out, learning Web3 through Quantum, and getting a lot of friends, learning, growing with the community of photographers and digital artists. Although I'm a musician, I felt like there were bear market came and they had to do some cutting, which was understandable. But it was also a spiritual thing for me as well, because I'm a musician and I have all these digital artists and photographers following me, and I'm not too I'm not into the music side as much because it's taking up all my time. So I feel like it was a godsend to like, hey, like let's pivot over and let's get back into this music thing because this is what you love to do.
And what about meeting your girlfriend? Like because that's crazy too. Like I mean, it's just all the events, all just
Yeah,
like
but that's just like a testament. I feel like of my life, like even like through Justin's work. But my mind is life, I believe, right? So I seen her in, like I seen her obviously like in the book, and I seen her in person as well at the initial opening. She was so stunning to me that I didn't even want to approach her. Like I was afraid. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? But
we all been there.
I said I'm gonna look her up in the book and see, like, creep mode, and get her Instagram. And I got her Instagram, and I just inboxed her like, hey, what's up? Like, we talked for a little while. We talked for like a year, like just like inbox, nothing crazy, like, just back and forth, like whatever. And then after a while, I was like, enough's enough. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what's up? Like, I'm coming out to Miami. She lived in Miami before, I came out here. And I said, hey, I'm coming out to Miami. I would love to hang out. Unbeknownst to her, I was coming out strictly for her. Like, I just want to meet her. You know what I mean? So I got a beautiful hotel at the East in Brickell, and I rented a Corvette, and all the pleasantries that guys do.
Yeah.
And I met her, and we clicked. I'm talking about, like, it was just like, it was a calm. There was no butterflies, there was no nervousness. It was just like, wow, like we're here, and we've been together ever since I came. And that was last year, in November. I came out to Miami, came out to Basel, seen her, stayed with her, and then we moved in together, got our own apartment in April. So I live in a condo now in Miami with her. So we're still rocking.
Nice. Well, congrats, man.
Thank
That's
you.
a beautiful story. All of it, really. From having that moment, basically immortalized with your brother for
Yes,
all
sir.
time,
Yes, sir.
to the experience, all of the prosperity that Justin has brought not only to himself but along with all of you that were part of the series. All of that, it really is beautiful.
Indeed,
So
I agree.
I love to hear it from your mouth specifically because I could feel it from you.
Yes, sir.
Um, on back onto your music.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow's a big day for you.
Tomorrow is a big day.
What's
It
happening
is.
tomorrow?
Tomorrow I have my first Glass XYZ drop. Glass XYZ is a video platform curating um, onboarding artists for video creation. And I'm dropping my song called Window Shopping with my twin brother, the Lord D. Lee. And I'm super excited. Like, we've been dropping videos for years, and Web3 is so transformative because it's like, you're on YouTube and you're not really getting anything. Like, in all reality, like pennies on the dollars, if that. You have to really get a lot of views. And for companies like Glass to come in and revolutionize the game and allow you to, post your videos to be collected, to be sold, and obviously like the standard NFT model, but with videos it's unbelievable. So I dropped tomorrow at about 6 p.m. on Glass. You can go get that. There's a preview on my Twitter as well, and I'm super excited to even be a part of that, to be onboarded with them. They're doing great things, man.
Yeah. Shout out Dio, shout out Jamie, the whole team
Jamie.
over there.
Yeah.
That's the fam over there. I run into them in person. Jamie's here in Atlanta, so I get to run into Jamie here and there. Got to see Dio in person. We were up in New York for
Yes,
CNYC, and then again in Miami at the UVR for Jaden's Underground Violet Rave. So, no, they're doing good work over there. It's really cool to see you to pull up with the video. I'm sure that'll go well. They
yes,
know
sir.
Right. Well, man, I'm not going to hold you too long. I've really enjoyed this, and I feel like we could go on for a long time.
Right.
Besides tomorrow's date, I know the New Year's coming up, so everyone's trying to make plans for Q1. Anything that we should be watching for you in the near future?
Well, I haven't been recording in a while, and I'm gonna resume recording next year. I'm super excited about that. I actually dropped a project, I think last month. I've dropped so many different projects, but I dropped a project last month called The Living Ancestor, and that's out right now on streaming platforms. Different sounds, R&B, hip hop. But for next year, I definitely plan on dropping a lot of music, definitely in the Web 2 space, but also Web 3. Looking to be onboarded to Sound. Haven't been onboarded to them yet, but would love to. Catalog as well, and just get deeper into the Web 3 world. Building community, building that love, like real honest community, listening to each other and actually being fans of one another and not just trying to get profit. But next year is going to be huge for all of us. But for me personally, I'm definitely going to be dropping some albums. This is going to be more than one. This year was a slow year for me. I only did one album. I usually do like 2 per year. So I'm just super excited to see what's moving forward. My girlfriend as well, she has a lot of projects, so I'm gonna be helping her out and pushing her stuff. And yeah, man, I'm super excited to continue a relationship with you guys as well. And man, like the future is super bright for the entire Web3 space.
Dude, we're here for it. We're here for it. I love connecting with you guys. For anybody that wasn't aware, I connected with Moonman T down in Art Basel. I'm sure we've crossed paths at some of these other conferences before. Just
didn't even know it.
You know what's funny? Because we pulled up the phones to follow each other on Twitter. We're like, oh shit, we're already following each other.
Yeah, so, that was crazy.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's a movie.
But look, I'll tell you this, and it's probably going to get me in trouble. But next time we cross paths, I'm going to have to see you on the court.
You sure?
We'll do it. I'm good for a game or two. After that,
it's like, hey, look, all right, but I'll hold you to it, man. I would love that, man.
Definitely. So, thank you for anybody that's tuning in right now, tuning in after the fact. We'll have this up on DSPs very soon, so you can share it. You can use it for whatever you'd like. Everybody follow my guy, Moonman T, at Moonman T, MOONMANT. He's got a big drop tomorrow. We got to pay these bills. Everybody, if you have not downloaded Huddle In, please download Huddle In, HUDDLN, in any of your app stores. You can mint any of your content that you already have on your phone, Instagram, or TikTok for free and put a price on it. You're already posted on Instagram. Might as well try to get some cash out of it.
Let's go.
My guy, I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you, my friend.
And we'll probably run this back in a few months or so.
Let's get it.
Thanks, everyone.